All right, Nicole, wasn't that beautiful? Today we're continuing our series, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, based on Wayne Dyer's book of that title, which is based on the Tao Te Ching, 2,500-year-old scripture written by the sage Lao Tzu. So we're looking at verse 13 and 14 today. So I want to share with you verse 13. Favor and disgrace seem alarming. High status greatly afflicts your person. Why are favor and grace alarming? Seeking favor is degrading. Alarming when it is gotten. Alarming when it is lost. Why does high status greatly afflict your person? The reason we have a lot of trouble is that we have selves. If we had no selves, what trouble would we have? Man's true self is eternal, yet he thinks, I am this body and will soon die. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of the world. Wow, 2,500 years old, that verse. Isn't that something? Well, Dr. Dyer's interpretation of this verse really has a lot to do with when we talk about status and approval. He talks about wanting other people's approval. Wanting people to praise us and trying to avoid people's negativity toward us. Does that have any relevance in the world today? So, what does Lao Tzu say? He says that's degrading. That's degrading. Looking for people's praise and being affected by their criticisms and so on. Why is it degrading? Well, what it's essentially saying is, I'm not enough. I'm not whole, I'm not okay inside, I'm not fulfilled, joyful, happy, content. It's not good enough to be me. It's not good enough to be the unique expression of God that I am. I'm making fun of myself too. I need people to like me, I need people to praise me, and I don't want to hear negativity from other people. Right? Isn't that how the mind works? The mind gets first of all, as Dyer points out, we become a slave to people's praise. We become a slave. I need that praise. I need people to like me. I need them to approve of me. I had someone recently tell me, I need people's approval. What do I do about that? That's what Lao Tzu is talking about here. Do we want to be a slave to needing people to like us, to say positive things, and trying to avoid negative things? And if somebody doesn't like us or thinks, maybe even hates us, trying to change their mind, trying to win them over? I mean, let's face it. I think all of this stuff works on some level in life, right? I remember when I was in college, I was a double major. I studied religion philosophy, and I also studied interpersonal communication. And one of the things that I learned was that a lot of, this was research back then, I don't know what it says now, but a lot of job interviews are determined in the first 30 seconds based on first impressions. The power of a first impression. And I used to struggle with that because I was interested in spiritual things. And I would struggle with, all right, how does that work? How is God my source, but other people's opinion and my first impression is going to determine whether I get a job or not? And I used to wonder, how does all that work together? There are persuasion techniques. There are all kinds of things to influence people. I mean, it happens all the time. You get people in politics who know how to say the right, tell the right story, or, in every area of life. People learn how to get what they want, right? And that's what happens. Michael Singer talks about that when we're not fulfilled or okay inside of ourselves, we're not happy and content and so on, and happy being the unique person that we are, then what do? We manipulate and we control, trying to get people and everything else around us to be the way we need them to be in order to be happy. And so that we don't suffer. And what I've come to the conclusion is, all of it works. We can spend our life and I've taught this book, Dale Carnegie's book. They used to say it sold almost as many copies as the Bible. That's impossible, but anyway, it was, that was the advertising. And I've taught the book. I think it's a book really says a lot on how to love people, really. But we can spend a whole lifetime winning friends and influencing people. And we can get really good at it. We can get very good at getting what we want. We can get very good at achieving one goal after another. We can gain all kinds of status and power and position and have all kinds of social involvement and friends and all that stuff. But here's the thing, and I believe this. I've experienced it. When I graduated high school, I felt in my naive mind that I had risen this great ladder of success without even trying to a lot, and now I had to do it all over again. I was like, why? What for? What's the point? What's the purpose? And I believe that as adults, we don't just live one lifetime. Now, that's my belief. That's not necessarily, Charles Fillmore used to believe, the co-founder of Unity, he said reincarnation is something that he believed in, but you don't have to believe it to be involved in Unity. But I personally believe it because it answers a lot of questions. And what I think happens is we can live lifetime after lifetime being really good at this outer game, and eventually we reach that point of, oh, not again. Got to be more to this than that. People live that way. They live their life. They get all these awards and stuff and live their whole life, and they got friends and they got all this stuff. And eventually, it gets old. It gets old, especially if you're doing it lifetime after lifetime. Then you're like, there's got to be more than this. Got to be more than this. And you get tired. You don't want to control everybody. You don't want to manipulate everything. It gets tiring. You want something more. And what is the more? The more is what Lao Tzu's talking about here. Learning to find the joy, the happiness, the contentment, the fulfillment, the joy and the passion in being one's unique, independent self. Because as Dyer points out, trying to live so that everybody likes me, everybody approves of me, is you become a slave to that. And you're basically saying, I'm not okay inside. I'm not fulfilled inside. It's not good enough for me to be me. I need you to like and approve of who I am and what I'm doing. And sometimes, well, eventually that doesn't work for us anymore. Does it? It gets tiring. And a lot of people don't know there's another way. They just do it automatically. They don't know there's another way. Now, Dr. Dyer points out, essentially, learning to listen to the passion within your own being. Henry Thoreau said, listen to the beat of a different drummer. Your own drummer. What is your drummer? What is the drummer drumming for you? And the beat that you're listening to. What is that drum beat? Are you listening to it? Are you following it? That's what I believe one of the messages of Lao Tzu. I mean, there's a lot in that verse. We could go on and on. But in the time that we have this morning, that's the piece I want to focus on, is listening to that inner drummer. Well, let me just say this. If we find ourselves asking the question, does he like me? Or she didn't seem to like me, or they didn't seem to like what I said, or he didn't seem to like what I said, and we start feeling insecure and anxious within ourselves. Anybody ever feel that at times? And, you attend a meeting, you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that, maybe I should have said this. Or you just had a conversation with somebody and you walk away and you go, maybe I should have said this. They would have liked hearing that, or why did I say that? Start second guessing yourself, start feeling anxiety and all that. That's a good signal. And a good signal to just be present to oneself and not try to change anything. Not feel like, oh, let me call them up. Let me go find out if they're okay. Do they not like me? Or maybe I can make this better. See what I mean? That's the human tendency. I want to make this better. I want to win them over. I want to make sure that everything's okay. And maybe what we need to do is just stop. Take a deep breath. Find your inner peace. Find your inner joy. Don't feel like you got to make everybody else approve. Make everybody else like you. Make everybody else want, to praise you. But as he points out, let the Tao work through it all. Let the Tao work. Let God work. Let Spirit work. Be present to all that insecurity and fear and let it dissolve in your awareness. That's one point in that. Another is, as Dyer says, practice trusting your own inner nature. Practice trusting your own inner nature. He says, listen to your passionate thoughts. Let that be an evidence that you are in harmony with the Tao when you follow and listen to those thoughts. He has a great question. Ask yourself right now, what's my own nature if I have no outside forces telling me who or what I should be? I think that's a great question. What's my own nature if I have no outside forces telling me who or what I should be? If you had no outside forces telling you how or who you should be, what would you be doing? Who would you be in your life? You'd be your unique, independent mind, wouldn't you? You'd be your unique, independent self. I was having lunch with a friend from high school a couple months ago, and he's now in the banking industry, and he got into who was making the most money from our school. this is who's making the most money from our school. Well, I was like, wow, really? Him? He's making the most. And him? He's making the, you'd be surprised. And then he got into, you know how friends can do. Then he got in, Justin, how come you're not married? How come you never got married? How come you're not married? So then I told him why I'm not married. Well, Charles, I never wanted children. And, a lot of people want children, never wanted children, and still don't want children. Don't see the point to be married if I'm not having kids, blah, 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 right? And he said to me, which I loved, he said, well, Justin, you always have listened to the beat of a different drummer. And I was surprised. He noticed that, Jewish boy becomes a unity minister, never marries, decides doesn't want to have kids. I was listening to my inner drummer. Listening to my inner drummer. Because who else is going to live our life for us? Nobody. We've got to be happy within ourselves, don't we? We've got to be happy with the life that we're living. We came in alone and we go out alone. And when we're in our final breaths, we want to look back on our life and go, I did it my way. I had someone who used to sing that song. He was a spiritual guy. He became a unity minister. He used to sing, I did it God's way. What is God's way? God's way, God is being you and me. What is that passion, that enthusiasm? What is that inner guidance? That's what it's about. So, living with an independent mind. And now, 14th verse. Living beyond form. Now, there's a lot in this verse, too. A lot in this verse. I wonder how long it took Lao Tzu to write this whole 81 verses. This verse is considered by some scholars to be a key principle because it's the underlying foundation and principle. It's the single principle that's underpinning all of existence. And we're going to read it right now. 14th verse. That which cannot be seen is called invisible. That makes sense. That which cannot be heard is called inaudible. Yeah. That which cannot be held is called intangible. These three cannot be defined, therefore they are merged as one. Makes sense. Can't see it, can't heal it, can't hear it, can't touch it. Don't touch this. Makes sense. They all merge as one. Each of these three is subtle for description. By intuition, you can see it, hear it, and feel it. Ooh, I like that, right? By intuition, you can see it, hear it, and feel it. Then the unseen, unheard, and untouched are present as one. Its rising brings no dawn, its setting no darkness. It goes on, unnameable, returning into nothingness. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You cannot know it, but you can be it at ease in your own life. At ease in your own life. Discovering how things have always been brings one into harmony with the way. The way. Dyer points out that to get in tune with this foreverness, that underlying all form, is what Jesus called spirit. Spirit, undifferentiated, infinite. Can't be just quarantined into one location like an old guy up in the sky with a beard. No, it's everywhere. It's infinite. And it underlies all things. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, called it substance, standing under, the living energy standing under all things. Can't see it, can't hear it, don't touch this, can't touch it, except as it manifests as everything. The underlying energy of all form. Of course, that's the basis of everything, right? That energy. And someone could say, well, I can't see it, can't hear it, can't touch it. How do you know it exists? Well, through intuition, right? Through the heart. Through a finer sense of seeing, hearing, touching, right? I was reading Deepak Chopra, and a quantum physicist who wrote a book called You Are the Universe. And they were talking about what is the nature of the universe. And my understanding of what I just read is scientists don't even know what the nature of the universe is yet. They've got answers that lead to no answers. They know enough to realize there's a lot more they don't know. It's still a mystery. It's a mystery what is the nature of the universe. There's a camp of scientists that, they're real into the physical and what you can learn through experimentation, and there's another camp of scientists that are into what they call pure thought, like the ancient Greeks. Some say that maybe all of this is just a figment of our imagination. These are scientists. That maybe everything we see is in our own mind. Max Planck, a great quantum physicist, believed that that behind all form was consciousness, unintelligence. He was a metaphysician in his thought process. So here, Lao Tzu, 2,500 years ago, is saying there is this foreverness that is perceptible through the intuition. And what Dr. Dyer encourages us to do is to improve your vision by looking beyond what your eyes see. Jesus said, judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment. He says, whatever you gaze upon, ask yourself, what is the true essence of what my eyes reveal to me? What is the true essence? Let me ask you, what is the true essence of the people you see next to you and around you? What is the true essence? Heart? What else? Anybody?
Isn't it God?
God, which is spirit, consciousness, energy, pure essence. What's the essence of this lectern here? What's the essence of the chair you're sitting in? Scientists tell us it's energy, isn't it? The essence of everything is energy converted into matter, and matter can be converted into energy. That underneath every form is this invisible, inaudible, intangible presence that's somehow manifesting as everything. That everything is electrons and protons and all that quantum physics stuff coming in and out of invisibility, quarks and bosons and leptons and all that crazy sounding stuff popping in and out of material reality. The great sage Yogananda said that everything is alive. Everything is alive. He could see the essence of things. He said you could look at the bones of a dead animal and those bones are alive. You can see the protons and electrons dancing in a swirl of energy. Dyer says, wonder about that magical something that awakens a tree in the springtime and places blossoms where frozen limbs existed only a few weeks before. Isn't that interesting? Frozen tree, growing blossoms. What did that? What was the essence that did that? What is the essence that takes a sperm, an ovum, and evolves and develops into such a complex human being that you and I are? Isn't it amazing when you think about it? How complex we are. How complex so many things are. What's behind that? DNA. Well, what is DNA? Scientists don't even know what DNA really is. They don't know where it came from. He says, awe and gratitude will grow when you embrace this forever principle. Your mind will free itself from a false identification with the transitory world, and you'll see the eternal in all things. Yes, Lao Tzu tells you, you'll transform your life by being in spirit. It is here that you will recognize what Rumi poetically offered some 1,500 years after Lao Tzu's powerful words. Rumi says, every tree and plant in the meadow seemed to be dancing. Those which average eyes would see as fixed and still. Average eyes would see as fixed and still. Yogananda had one group he was looking at, and he said, you have no idea how beautiful you are. He could see that person that's inside the body, the person that's inside, that has a mind, that has emotions. He said, you're light, and you're beautiful colors of light. See, this gross material world is much denser than the finer regions, the sages tell us. In the finer regions, there is brilliant color. Brilliant color. One of the first ladies who, this is coming to my mind in a moment, who wrote about dying and coming back, when she, those near-death experiences, she was clinically dead and then she came back. She was one of the first writers. And she said that when she came back, she got depressed. She got depressed because the color was so brilliant in the other dimension. Then when she came back to the earth, it seemed so drab compared to the brilliance of the other color. And so some of these sages like Yogananda, they could look at you and me and see brilliant color, beautiful color. In other words, there's a vibration and energy, a color that exists. Everything is alive. And Dyer here is encouraging us to see that. Charles Fillmore said that when you put your clothes on, think of the substance that you're putting on yourself. Your clothes are God's substance. You're clothing your body in God's substance. He said, bless the money that is in your purse, in your wallet. Bless it as that substance of God. And you're attuning yourself with that divine flow. So this is how Dyer encourages us to apply living beyond form. Living beyond form. Thinking about that essence of everything. He says, take note of as much invisibleness as you can when gazing at a tree, a distant star, a mountain, a cloud, or anything else in the natural world. Embrace the principle that allows it to be and then turn it inward and do the same for your own physical existence. It is the principle that expands your lungs, beats your heart, and grows your fingernails. live in this principle. So that's our challenge. One, to listen to that beat of our own inner drummer, to start to live from that place of finding peace and joy and contentment within our own being, not being a slave to people's approval, disapproval, letting the Spirit work. I'm not saying go crazy. Doesn't mean we're rude. I don't care what people think. I'm not saying that. But if we get insecure and fearful or worried and we want to go fix it, take a deep breath. Get still instead. Be present to your insecurity. Let the Tao work through that person. Let the Tao work through that relationship. And begin to look for the essence of everything. To contemplate, what is this really? The sages could look at a chair and see swirls of energy. Like Rumi could see the tree as dancing electrons and protons and all that stuff. And begin to tune into the invisible spiritual realm in which we live. Let's get still for a moment. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Yes. I am spirit living itself as me. Yes. I am invisible, actually, living in a visible body. I am that invisibleness that looks through these eyes, that feels in this heart. I am the image of God. I am a unique expression of spirit. I am here to be the unique expression that I am. I am the one and only me. Unique, valuable, and important to God, to life, to myself. And I let my light shine. I like me. I approve of myself. I put the stamp of approval on myself. God approves of me. The Tao approves of me. And I approve of myself. Grade A. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for guiding us and directing us and helping us to see the spiritual reality of everything. Thank you for opening our eyes and our ears and our hearts to perceive your presence in all of life, and especially within our own selves. For your activity and for your truth, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. Would like to just take a moment to thank you all for being here today and you all watching online. Thank you for experiencing this with us today, being part of this consciousness raising that we're all doing together. And special thanks to Ray Davis and also Nicole Fernandez Cafaro, our musicians for today. And let us go forth today, letting God be God in and through and as us. Please join me for the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yea, God. God bless you. Namaste. Thank you.